a bit about what we achieved during this year. Beside the pandemic and the coronavirus, there were many interesting youth initiatives, and young people are looking forward to the new year, 2021. And we are going also to speak about this, where we can participate, how can we help each other, what can we learn from each other, and many other things. We in Russian Cultural Center in Brussels, we organize different youth events, and we recently had one very big forum, Brussels Dialogue, in October. And we like to continue our conversations, our discussions with young people, and hope this event will be interesting for you. Right now, I would like to also greet you on behalf of the director of the Russian Cultural Center, Vera Bunina. Unfortunately, she can't attend the meeting right now. She is in the embassy, but she greets you all, and she thanks all of you for participation and for your contribution to our dialogue. And actually, this idea to organize a Brussels Dialogue Forum, it is her idea, and we think it's developing in a very interesting and good way. This event helps us to make bridges between Russian and European, Belgian young people. That is always very welcome, I think. And right now, I would like to introduce you our experts. So we have Andrei Kovalenko, who is Deputy Head of the Department for Promotion of International Development and Humanitarian Programs of Rossотрудничество. Andrei, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Hear you.
Thank you. I would like to introduce you Pega Mulana, who is a member of the Youth Advisory Council of the Council of Europe. Hi, Pega.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so good to see you all, and I'm here.
Yes, thank you. We're also very happy to see you. And now I would like also to introduce you Yelizaveta Khunduma, who is International Project Coordinator at All Russian Public Movement of Medical Volunteers, Association of Volunteers Centers.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I'm Elizabeth. Thank you very much for the invitation. Good to see you all here.
Yes, nice to see you too. And here we also have Lina Ashur. She's a young youth delegate of the United Nations from Belgium. Lina.
Hi, Luciana, and hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to exchange later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lina. And here we also have some small changes. We have Valeria Teratenkova, who is the representative of International Department of the National Youth Council of Russia. Valeria, are you here with us?
Yes, hello everyone. So nice to see you all.
Yeah, nice to see you. So actually we have not such a gender balanced team today, and I would like actually right now to give the floor to Andrei Kovalenko, the representative of Rossотрудничество, because you know we have a very big program, New Generation, that he will present, and after we will have a discussion on three actually different topics related with each other. We will discuss our results during this year, and we will see what we are going to do the next year. So Andrei, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, let me introduce just in a few words the programs, youth programs of Russian Federation, official youth programs, such like example, like program New Generation that we make with the help of different Russian institutions like State Duma, like Ministry of Foreign Affairs, other ministers, and regions of Russian Federation. It's like an example how Russia works with youth with foreign youth in Europe, in Eurasia region, in BRICS countries, and others. From the practical point of view, it could be interesting personally for you if you are in the age limits of 25, 35 years old and have not Russian citizenship. Well, a few words about the program, New Generation program, and a short video, like a final video, 2 minutes, final video of this year. Well, you know, there were a lot of difficulties this year connected with COVID and borders all over the world. Well, standard number of foreign participants of our program is 1,000 each year. But this year it was 200s, only 200s, and most of them were from former Soviet Republic, from Kazakhstan, from Ukraine, from Belarus, the borders which are open now. Well, each year we make about 30 different events with different Russian institutions connected with different professional activities of our participants. For example, for young parliamentarians from different countries, we organize the event with the State Duma of Russian Federation. For young scientists, researchers in the, for example, nuclear sphere or any other sphere, we organize with the special academical institution in Russia, and so on. For young journalists with RT, Sputnik agency, the top level Russian institution in the sphere, and almost for each group of youth, beginning from young journalists and for example, for young diplomats or young parliamentarians, young scientists, young sportsmen, we organize these events, young artists, painters, and so on.
And also, Doctor, we have Matthias, who is a participant of one of such programs. We'll share later.
Which year? What year?
I had the chance to take part in the New Generation program with the medical volunteers last year.
This year? Last year.
Oh, last year in Ivanovo. The first.
Yes, it was a wonderful event. Remember it. And you, I'm sure you remember me in the meeting in Moscow. I presented the program.
Yes, the first days, but I arrived a little bit late the next day, so I think I missed your presentation.
Yeah. Well, you may recommend this program to other your friends and those who with us now. Well, in a few words about the program, 1,000 participants each year without Russian citizenship, and for those who didn't participate, the program in the previous years. The program was established according to the decree of our president in 2011, and each year Russia is welcome for young professionals from all over the world. Well, let us show you our video. It's like a result of our work in this year. Lukiana?
2020, the world community faced a new global problem, the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite all the difficulties, the grants of the New Generation program could not stand aside. Together with the New Generation team, they continue to exchange ideas, participate in online lectures and webinars. Alumni of the program living so far from each other created supportive videos. Graduates of the New Generation and compatriots celebrated the 75th anniversary of the Great Victory by taking part in the filming of the video Live Frontline album. As soon as the pandemic began to recede and enabled us to meet again on the margins of events offline, the young leaders did not miss this opportunity.
It's amazing, and the river was beautiful, very beautiful one. Мы ждали чуда, и это чудо произошло.
The agency, together with its partners, have provided all conditions for the safe participation of the New Generation leaders. Young leaders could not leave aside the key event of the year of memory and glory. The young leaders visited the final event of the program in 2020, the International Forum, Nuremberg Lessons.
Well, there were some problems with download of the video. But I'd like to say that, and Matthias can confirm it, that our program, even the political events with State Duma or with Sputnik or RT, are totally not politicized, no politics inside of it, as our foreign minister, Mr. Lavrov, say. The main task of this problem of our program is to show the objective view, the objective picture of our country, of Russia, and show you how our state institutions, academical institution, journalist institution work. Well, Russia is open for you, for your friends, and if you're interested in cooperation with us, Luciana has all the contacts, and I may share right here in chat with my email, working email. You may write me, and I could invite you next year, you and your friends, in Russia, and we will be in touch this year and the next year too. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrei. But just one question. When at the beginning of the year you heard that there is a pandemic, all the borders are closed, what were your reaction? Because this program, New Generation, is mostly focused on inviting young people to Russia. How are you able to keep contacts or keep the dynamic with people who were not able to come to some projects? Did you have some experience?
Yes, we keep in touch only with the help of different online programs with such conferences like this. We absolutely understand that it is many young people are sick of it really in the world with such online events. They want to participate in offline events, visit Russia, and as we can, we build this cooperation. You may, I sent you in the common chat the links and the hashtags of our program. You may find us in Facebook, in YouTube, and see with your eyes how it look like. Well, and next year, sure, we hope the borders will be open. At least in the summer or in the spring, I don't know, in the winter, it finally could be open. And we are still waiting 1,000. How it will look like in next year, we don't know, but we are waiting, we're preparing our programs, and depending of your interest, we could organize our program from our side, like that.
Thank you very much, Andrei. And just another question. If you could already tell us if there are some plans about alumni association or something like this for those who participated already.
Well, we're planning next year to organize this type of organization in a few countries, and in Belgium, I hope, in Serbia, in Kazakhstan, and Belarus. We haven't decided yet, finally, and it will look like the most active alumni who finished the program. They are welcome to participate one more time in our activities in Russia, but we will present it in the very beginning of next year. In our official resources, you may find the information in our Facebook, or first of all.
Okay, so we are looking forward to also to keep the dynamics of and contacts with the participants. Thank you very much, Andrei. And now I would like to ask and to give the floor to Pega, who is a member of the Advisory Council on Youth of the Council of Europe. And you are also the member of British Youth Council. Am I right?
I had to unmute myself. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So what was this year for the Council of Europe youth sector? Because what were some activities, and actually in general, what was the reaction?
Well, actually, I'd like to start with saying that we started this year very hopeful, because it was when officially Russian Federation returned to the Council of Europe. So we had, so many hopes and ambitions to cooperate with the Russian Federation. And I'm sure this is not gone away, but COVID-19 has certainly acted as a barrier to let's say, cooperate in a more closer dimension. So that's one frustrating thing I'd like to start with, just to say that I hope in 2021 we can pick the pace up again, and we can bring not only the Russian youth to the center of Council of Europe, but also us to the work and the excellent activities going on in Russian Federation. So that's my hope, all in all, in that sense. But we've still kept busy, and as much as I wished that we would see each other in person, we've tried to do all the work online. So we've had our statutory meetings, which are held every 6 months online, and as a result of that, progress hasn't, let's say, been on the decline. And I'm really thankful for that. And as a result, we've managed to have a thematic debate on climate change. 6 months ago, and this is something that is quite a big baby of mine, let's say, and I'm really glad to say that we have now set up a task force to think on how we can involve young people's active participation for a climate change movement across Council of Europe. So that is something we'll be elaborating a little bit more from January. So it'd be really good to even discuss that with the Brussels dialogue. So that's something that's very, very new. We've recently just had the European Youth Week Convention, which is held every 5 years, and for the youth department, it's quite a precious item because it correlates exactly to our recommendation paper on youth work. So we have now a declaration on bond process, and we will be using the next 5 years to let's say, bring about that declaration into reality. And yeah,
a bit more maybe about the convention and the agenda and focuses of this.
Sure. So the European Youth Week Convention has started since 2010, and it aimed to bring about a European consensus on youth work. So we saw that the European Union was doing its own progress, and Council of Europe was also doing its own progress on youth work. And we wanted to collaborate that together, especially when it comes to terms of funding and expertise. So we have the European Youth Convention, where all the 50 member states of Council of Europe gather together, and we work on a 5-year basis on the progress we would like to see happen. So 5 years ago, it was mostly about recognition of youth work and how it's perceived, and on also the legal terms on how member states interpret youth work on a national and local level. This year, it's about moving and campaigning together. And for the next 5 years, we'll be working together in this sense, and especially when it comes to funding. But you can find the bond process declaration if you Google bond process declaration, and it's completely there. So so that's something that we have now on our books for 5 years to implement. Mm-hmm. Yes. With that said, we also have a new campaign, which I'm sure you remember our No Hate Speech campaign, which was, you know, a very, very big and famous thing across the world. We are now thinking of a new campaign, which is talking about revitalizing a pluralistic democracy. And it will be, at the moment, we're in the phase of looking at how this will actually be implemented in practice. And afterwards, we are hoping to actually launch a European-wide campaign on how we can put our democracies in better use for the challenges and opportunities that are in front of us in the 21st century. So it will be quite a big jump, but I guess this is why working and cooperating with our member states, such as Russian Federation, is fundamental to know where exactly we can contribute best. I'll be quiet now because there's quite a lot we've done.
And just a question, yes, about actually no hate speech campaign, because many people start to be more active online, and we could also see that there was a rise of hate speech in the internet. So how do you think, how did the campaign work during this year, and were there some specific maybe examples or results?
Yep, and just to say that the No Hate Speech movement officially is no longer, you know, being dedicated a budget within the Youth Department of Council of Europe, but now, thanks to the Council of Europe and its member states, it has its own autonomy. So it has its own board, it has its own chair and vice chairperson. So it is still functioning the way it used to be, but now it has its own structures. So the team there are dealing with this, but also we have still got, what is it called? Practitioners of No Hate Speech movement still within the member states. So every Council of Europe member state still has its members of expert on the ground level who are keeping us updated on what's the level of hate speech, online, offline, and helping us to tackle the core problems. And in order to keep this track of no hate speech going, the Joint Council on Youth actually has decided that it has now a coordinator on anti-racism. So we are also dealing with the idea of no hate speech movement in the sense of anti-racism from the youth department sector that way. So yeah.
And also peace building is also one of the priority for the youth department. So if you just say in a couple of words, how was it during this year? I remember you had a big forum online.
Yes, exactly. It's actually really good because that's also my topic that I'm taking care of. And this evening I even have a discussion on a thematic debate topic where we can have on youth peace and security. So it's a very, very good question. And this every 2 years we have the youth peace camp, and it's a week-long camp where everyone would come about. But sadly, it went online, but it still remained very successful. We had a very wide reach out, and we had a lot of trainers who were present during the peace camp. So if you go onto the Council of Your website, you can see all the videos, which is, I think, a good change. That means that even if you were not present on that day, you can still see the elaborations. But also we managed to bring in people from across the world where we hardly had the capacity before. And also we tackled problems such as environmental security. What happens when environment is being targeted as a consequence of wartime, or if it's been exhausted because of let's say, warfare gains. For instance, exhaustion of oil or diamonds at the cost of keeping a warfare going. So a lot of new topics were explored. And last week was the UN Resolution 2250's fifth anniversary. So we are also looking at making that visible and holding a workshop around that. So there is a lot to be done. And I think one thing that the Council of Europe Youth Department is thinking of doing is to bring about youth peace and security on a European scale. We have the United Nations resolutions to guide us, but it might be good to actually think of something to bring home, and create that connection between it. So.
And do you think it was easy or challenging to keep young people in the scope of the Council of Europe Youth projects? Because right now there are so many events online, and so how do you think what was the uniqueness maybe of the projects, and how were you able to keep the dimension?
I think what was really important for us when we were holding conferences is that it still needs to have added value, to make sure that we are not holding meetings for the sake of holding them. And as much as we are teaching the young people something, we are also being taught ourselves. So these were a lot of let's say, assessment points we made when we were thinking of holding sessions. And also we thought that if this means that we can invite more young people, why not use it? Because usually we were restrained by the budget on how many participants we can bring, and also the member states that they were from. So this COVID-19 actually brought us an opportunity to explore the dimensions we couldn't before. For instance, the European Youth Convention was supposed to be, I think, 300 people in total, and we ended up having it with 1,000 people. So you could see the vast differences that made, and we wanted to make sure that it's facilitated very well in order for all the voices to be incorporated into the final declaration. So a lot of planning and a lot of lack of sleep, and I have to say that I'm tired of my screen by now. But we have to cope.
Thank you so much. Yes, that's true. So we will come back to the advisory council, and right now I would like to give the floor to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, are you here with us? Can you hear us?
Yes, sure. I'm here. I'm
Yes.
with you. Okay, let me share my presentation. Just give
But
me a moment.
That's one thing I would like to share with our participants also. We have a very unique movement during this year. It became a very, very big project. Since some years, we have the movement of volunteers. And during this year, they had a reaction, I think, very, very very quick and very efficient reaction on COVID-19, because during this year there was a project, We Are Together, that is in Russian, Мы вместе, and Elizabeth, she participated directly in this project and in this movement.
Mm-hmm.
So Elizabeth, please.
Yes, okay. Can you please confirm that you can see my presentation?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you very much. So then I will start. My name is Elizabeth. I represent All Russian Public Movement of Medical Volunteers. And today I will be telling you more about the national campaign, We Are Together. So the national campaign, We Are Together, was started in literally 3 days because the pandemic of the coronavirus infection made us understand that we need to act fast. And thanks for the help of more than 160,000 volunteers, we were able to help more than 4 million people. And now I will be telling you more about what exactly we are doing during this campaign. So there are several areas of activities under the framework of this campaign. And of course, first of all is purchase and delivery on essential goods. As you understand, there's a lot of people who are in self-isolation, especially elder people. And what we do is we assist them in buying the groceries. At the same time, of course, all volunteers, they provide help to medical organizations. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, there is a high increase of the patients in the hospitals. And of course, doctors need help. So what we do is we provide some dressings like patient logistics. Our volunteers also assist doctors with the paperwork, transportation, the analysis, and else. Of course, at the same time, we have the auto volunteers. Those are the people who provide assistance in delivery of the groceries and medicines. And at the same time, they provide that transportation assistance for the doctors so they can reach hospital faster. At the same time, what we do is we provide online help for those who feel lonely during the self-isolation. We organize leisure, we organize interactive online events. And at the same time, of course, we provide them with the correct information about the coronavirus infection. Because as you understand, during the pandemic, Google Medicine was, and it is still very popular. So what we're trying to do is we're fighting this and we're providing those who are in need with the correct information. At the same time, we have another area, which is providing legal support. What we do is our volunteers who receive legal education, they provide legal advice for those who are in a difficult situation related to the coronavirus. And the last one, but not the less important, is of course psychological assistance. What we do is we provide free psychological support to people by the hotline that we created or by the chatbot. The volunteers who provide this psychological assistance are those who received education in psychology. Of course, I wanted to draw your attention on the specifics of organization of the volunteering during the pandemic, because we needed to change the strategy of organizing the volunteer help, how we did before, to a new way. So, of course, we paid more attention to the online events. At the same time, the mechanism of the organization of this national campaign was organizing a hotline where people were calling and making the request. This request was going to the federal, to the regional department. The regional department was contacting the person who is in need and helping him according to the needs that the person wanted. And at the same time, I wanted to say that, of course, we didn't only concentrate on people. We also, on just citizens, but we also concentrated on doctors too, because doctors are also the one who needed help during the pandemic. So what we do is we provide psychological care for medical workers. At the same time, we provide free delivery of products and medicines, not only to the medical workers, but also for their relatives, because some medical doctors, they work in a red zone and they cannot leave that red zone for like 2 weeks. At the same time, we provide like free transport support, as I mentioned, and free food, and of course, temporary housing for those who are in need. I wanted to say that to make this work, we needed to create a new volunteer training. So now we have 4-step volunteer training. First one is a distance training program. The volunteers who are willing to volunteer under this campaign, they are registering on our official website, We Are Together 2020, and they pass the distance training. After that, they pass face-to-face training where they are informed about the specifics of the communication with the elderly people and with the people who might have the COVID infection. After that, the third one is passing the accreditation and having access to work. And of course, because before the working day started, we have a check-in procedure. We measure the temperature. We provide the volunteers with a personal protective equipment, and of course with the request. So I also wanted to mention that thanks to the volunteers, they played a huge role in fighting the spread the coronavirus. So because of this, the populations, they decided to celebrate the role of the volunteers. And for example, in Khakassia region, they made a graffiti of a medical volunteer to just remember the role of volunteers during this pandemic. And I just wanted to say that the prototype of this woman who is on this graffiti is a real person, Olga. She's a second-year student of the Khakassia State University, and she's a medical volunteer. She was volunteering during the first wave, and she's still volunteering now. So here is our website, Мы вместе 2020, which is We Are Together 2020. You can also see more information on that website.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's actually a great presentation and a great job that you did during this year. But tell us about yourself. You also participated. You are also a volunteer. And what brought you to this?
Yeah.
Why did you come?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I feel like the connection is a little bit bad. Can you please repeat your question?
Yes, because you are also the volunteer. Why did you come?
Why did I decide to volunteer?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so that's actually, I think, a long story, but shortly is just the volunteering is a part of those who volunteer because we feel like we need to help people. That's what makes you go. That's what makes you feel like you want to do it. So I am one of the organizers of this campaign because I actually work in the All Russian Public Movement of Medical Volunteers. I started working there even before the pandemic, but my history of the volunteering started just from the first time when you help the person and you feel like you want to do it again and again. You feel like this is how you can contribute to the society. So that's how it started, from helping to one person. then going to another one, then participating in events, then joining the movement.
Okay, and what is the average portrait of the volunteer?
The average portrait of the volunteer in the framework of the We Are Together, of course, mostly those are the medical students. The medical students of the second year, third year, maybe the first year, maybe the last year. Those are the students who are just willing to participate, help people, and spend their free time helping people.
And maybe could you also tell us some, some your personal story when you were volunteering, something that you remember the most?
I can tell you, I think my personal story is mostly which, I don't know, like the personal story which mostly touches me. I think it's about organizing. When you're organizing a huge event, we were organizing a International Forum of Medical Volunteers in 2019. Matthias actually joined that forum. So I can say that that was my greatest personal experience because we were working very hard. We were working a long time, 24/7 to organize this forum. And at the end, when you see the faces of those volunteers who are joining this forum, when you see that you created a platform for them to share their ideas, and when we actually saw the international participants coming to our forum and exchanging their experience, giving everyone the opportunity to work together and to implement their ideas, that was my greatest experience, to be honest, because that was the time when I really felt like I contributed to so that they will ideas and they make this world a bit better.
Yeah, thank you so much. And where do you find inspiration? Because during this year for volunteers, it was a tough year. And so also not to be, also to have kind of psychological care. How do you find this, the source of energy?
Well, that's actually a very common question because, of course, this was a very tough year for the volunteers, and our organization organized different webinars, like psychological webinars, to fight stress and emotional burnouts for the volunteers. And for me, I find inspiration in the result that I see because, of course, you will feel tired when you're preparing something, you will feel stressed, but then when you will see the result, you will have this energy to do something more again. And this is like a circle which keeps you going. And of course, as I said, those webinars are also helpful so that you can receive help from the psychologist and understand how to fight the stress and the self-burn.
Okay, thank you very much, Elizabeth. And we will come back with plans for the next year. And now I would like to invite Lina, because actually I think all representatives of youth organizations, they are mostly volunteers. This is how we see the world and how we want to share our experience, how we want to make this life better. Lina is the United Nations Youth Delegate from Belgium. So, Lina, the floor is yours. How was this year for you? And I know that there were some also UN events dedicated to young people, and different important resolutions were revised at the United Nations level. So please tell us about you.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you again for the invitation, and it's so inspiring to hear the other campaigns and programs of Pega, Elisabetta, and all the others. So I applaud all these initiatives. As you mentioned, I'm the UN Youth Delegate of Belgium, but it is also important to state that it's of the Flemish Youth Council because yes, it's been a challenging year for all of us, and especially for young people. Importantly, one important thing to mention for the Flemish Youth Council, it was a very important year in that sense that there were elections of the new youth advisors, and youth advisors of the Flemish Youth Council are elected every 3 years, and they are elected by the Flemish young people. And not only are the youth advisors elected, but also the teams are chosen, elected by young people. And before that, we had a whole campaign, a campaign called De Toeristen. So we tried to have as many conversations as possible with young people. It's important to mention that it wasn't really a survey. It was really, we really tried to have a conversation with young people to really understand what are the topics that are close to your heart. We started with 16 topics, and then we went to 5 topics, to eventually 3 topics. 2 weeks ago, we knew which topics were the 3 elected topics. And on the first place, there was mental health. And Elisabetta talked about the psychological assistance. And mental health is a really big theme here, and there's a lot of debate about it at the moment, because obviously all the measures and the whole COVID-19 situation has been really challenging for everyone, but especially for young people and students. And sometimes it's difficult for them to see the positive perspective, to see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. But with the vaccines that's now coming, hopefully there's hope regarding that. But so mental health was an important one, reducing inequalities, because I think that the COVID-19 pandemic was a catalyst or has exacerbated some inequalities that were already present. And then lastly, climate, which obviously is a very, very important topic. But so it's been challenging, but there's also been very positive effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, because the election, for example, we would reach much more young people online. And this year, a real record has been reached of people who voted. So there were 5,000 young people who voted for the new youth advisors. So there's challenges, that's for sure. There's also some positive sides. Maybe more specifically regarding the United Nations work. Obviously this year we couldn't go to New York, to the GA, everything was online. We had a lot of online meetings, be it with the UN youth delegates of other countries, be it with ambassadors, the chair of the third committee, and of course also the UN youth envoy. One major theme there was the youth participation, because a lot of UN youth delegates wanted their voices, and obviously also the voices of the people they are representing, the young people they are representing, to be heard. And that wasn't easy, that was a challenge. But I think having online events can also create opportunities, because you can meet more often. You can also meet with people whom you wouldn't have met necessarily, for example, in Belgium or another country. So there's definitely also opportunities. And then there was also obviously the resolution on youth peace and security, which was very important this year. It's mainly my predecessor who worked on that resolution, and it was a great opportunity by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as they really allowed us as UN youth delegates to draft, so to have input in that very important resolution, youth peace and security, because it's not only a resolution about young people and for young people, but also by young people. So I'm going to stop here maybe.
Thank you very much, Lina. I also congratulate Flemish Youth Council because Frederick was elected as the Vice President of the European Youth Forum.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he was not able to join us, but many congratulations. He was also in the board, so it's a great also success and achievement. And I wanted to ask you because as far as I know, there was also a campaign in Youth Council about voting from 16.
Mm-hmm.
You can also tell a bit about this because there were some achievements during this year.
Yes, thank you. We were, of course, very happy for Frederick, who is now Vice President of the European Youth Forum. I'm sure he would have explained it even better and more in detail as he's been there for years. I'm more the UN side, but of course, I've been following it as well. And in Belgium, we've had a new government quite recently. And one of the new and very important points for young people is that Belgian youngsters, so from 16 years old, can vote, can, not must, because as you may or may not know, voting in Belgium is mandatory for all people starting from 18 years old. But so for the European elections, now young people are allowed, so 16, 17 years, to take part in these elections. And of course, that's a very important achievement because we want youth participation, we want youth engagement. And with this first step, that this can be achieved. And I also believe that by allowing young people to vote, because it's, again, not mandatory, but by giving them that opportunity, they will also be more interested and more engaged in politics. Because I believe that if you wait, or if you don't maybe let them the opportunity, for those who want, who are eager to do so, they would be, thinking, oh, I only have to vote when I'm 18 years old, so it's not really important for me to follow what's happening in the media, in the politics. And here with this, by reducing the age, we can really try to make them engaged and more interested in what's happening, and not just from election to election, but really throughout the year.
Yeah, thank you very much for this insight. And did you have any kind of also volunteer movement in Belgium during this year, or maybe also before?
Sorry, I missed the question. Sorry.
If you also had maybe kind of this volunteer movement to struggle COVID.
Yes. Well, at the Flemish Youth Council, as you said, we're volunteers, but it was more volunteering to make the voice of young people be heard. During the pandemic, students had the feeling that they were forgotten, that all the classes were online and that they would manage and do it on their own. So at the Flemish Youth Council, especially the youth advisors, and not so much myself as a UN youth delegate, but they really tried to make their voices be heard in the media, to really draw attention to their situation. But obviously in Belgium, there's been a lot of volunteers in hospital, but then mostly, as Elisabetta explained, medical students, nurses, so students who are still studying to become nurses. So there's really been, I think, the positive side of this whole very difficult and challenging year and this whole pandemic was the fact that I think there was also a lot of solidarity. We weren't able to have physical contact, but I think there was some warmth by the people, by the engagement of the people, the solidarity between people. You could see that some neighbors would do the groceries for the elderly people who couldn't go to the shops. So there's definitely been the importance of volunteers in general has been very, very important during these periods. That's for sure.
Thank you very much, Lina. And following this question, I see Pega gave some comment. So Pega, also, if you would like to tell, because you are involved in the British Youth Council and this campaign about voting since 16, please.
Yes, sorry. Sorry, Lena, if I barged in, but it was a very good occasion.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure.
but yeah, with the Flemish National Youth Council, British Youth Council has also been working really hard on Vote to 16, and it actually goes all the way back to a Scottish referendum in 2015. So it's been quite a while of a campaign for us. So this Youth Select Committee report is basically a gathering of experts across the United Kingdom on why and how Vote to 16 can be implemented in the communities. So the European Youth Forum also uses this report to advise its member organizations, and hopefully it'll be useful for you. We tried to use it for the EU referendum, and unfortunately the government didn't give us the right to include 16-year-olds in the voting. But every time there is a general election, British Youth Council keeps poking the government to allow the 16-year-olds to vote. So Wales has done it, Scotland has done it. It's just England left to implement. So we'll get in there. It's taking its time, but we are poking the right doors.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Peggy. So we will also keep in touch, and we will see what are the results. And I see that the director of the Russian Center in Brussels, Vera Bunina, joined us. So just maybe just some greetings and a couple of words.
Yes, thank you, Luciana. I am so sorry I couldn't be with you at the beginning. Unfortunately, I was at the meeting that was a little bit longer than it was planned. So I would like to welcome everybody. I think that this meeting of today is very important for really speaking about the results of this difficult and challenging year, and thinking about the new trends and new opportunities that the pandemic offered us. Especially in the terms of the youth politics and the youth development and the youth society. So I'm very happy to see that our contacts are developing, and the Brussels Dialogue meeting is continuing. And I wish you all the best for the new year 2021. I hope of all my heart that this year will be better than the current year. And I think that it's extremely important to keep in touch and to stay in touch, and to discuss really the challenges and the modifications and the new aims and new objectives that the reality are forming for us. For facing the new challenges and new problems, and it's very important to be together. The solidarity about that Lina spoke about, it's really our main objective now. So I hope we'll continue our meetings and our contacts in the next year, and I wish you all the best, and stay healthy. It's the most important, and stay safe.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vera Bunna. And we will continue. Still, we have one more presentation, and after we will continue the discussion. During this year, there were also some important steps done in the field of youth policy in Russia. The new law about youth policy was discussed, and beside this, also many different events. International Youth Cooperation was developing online. So I would like to give the floor to Valeria, and who is the representative of National Youth Council of Russia. That is the biggest association of youth organizations. Some members, some member organizations, they include around 20,000 young people, some even more. So the coverage, I would say, with whom National Youth Council works is more than 3 billion young people in Russia. So Valeria, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hello everyone once again. Thank you very much for such a nice presentation of the organization that I represent. Once again, I'm Valeria, and I would like to tell you what the National Youth Council of Russia has done in the year 2020. As we all have mentioned, the year hasn't been easy. We have faced a lot of new challenges and issues that we could have never thought of before. But at my organization, we decided not to focus on lamenting, but more to focus on exploring the opportunities of the new normal, as well like to say, that we're living in. We tried to do our best to adjust to new conditions and maintain youth contacts across the globe, which is extremely important since the face-to-face contacts are restricted. And in order to do that, we harnessed digital tools and used the potential of digital youth diplomacy. And I should say that we successfully transformed a few events into an online format that initially were, of course, supposed to be held offline. 2020 is a very important year since the UN marked its 75th anniversary, and the National Youth Council of Russia is a member of the Russian Public Committee for the celebration of the anniversary. And we held various thematic events, but 2020 is also special for another important reason. It is the year of the 75th anniversary of the victory in the Second World War. And the National Youth Council of Russia plans to hold an international youth meeting of young leaders from all over the world dedicated to the great victory. But due to the pandemic, unfortunately, we had to reschedule it, to reformat it. So we held it in June and held it online, of course. But it turned out to be still a great large-scale successful meeting. Right now, we're also holding the seminar called Remembrance and Learning from the Second World War, fully online, in cooperation with the Council of Europe. I also would like to cover the topic of Sustainable Development Goals, since the National Youth Council of Russia, or NYCR for short, pays a lot of attention to the topic of sustainable development and sustainable development goals. And we even have a program called Sdg Youth Ambassadors. We have young representatives that work on projects devoted to each sustainable development goal. Right now, we're holding an SDG BRICS Youth Forum in a hybrid format. And according to current feedback, it's quite successful. In addition to that, we've made some efforts to unite the Commonwealth of Independent State efforts to achieve SDG goals. And for that purpose, we established a youth network of Commonwealth of Independent States, member states on sustainable development goals in order to coordinate and consolidate the efforts of young people and youth NGOs to achieve the sustainable development goals. In the near future, a working group comprising representatives of the 6 countries where Sdg Youth Ambassadors program is currently realized, will be formed to carry out this initiative. And moreover, the participants supported the idea of organizing the first ever Commonwealth of Independent States Youth Forum on Sustainable Development Goals, which is scheduled to be held in the year 2021 in Russia. We're still thinking about the format, but we have high hopes. Last but not least, we managed to continue our enduring productive cooperation with the Council of Europe, and primarily, I mean, our framework program on cooperation between the Council of Europe and the Russian Federation in the field of youth policy. Of course, coronavirus has changed our initial plans, but it did not hinder our partnership, and we held initially planned events just in different formats, still successful. And last but not least, we took part in the UN events and UN related events. For example, in the UN Online High-Level Political Forum in July, where we presented the first voluntary national review on SDGs, which was prepared with the help of our Russian Sdg Youth Ambassadors. And the program received very good feedback, and we are intending to develop it and make it more, well, I would say, large scale. So all in all, the year has been very hot, but I reckon we managed to do our best to sustain youth cooperation and communication, which were endangered due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and as well as to come up with new projects and initiatives for the upcoming year. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you very much, Valeria. And maybe could you tell a couple of words about this new law that were discussed about the youth policy? Because National Youth Council of Russia is also participating quite actively.
Yes, the National Youth Council of Russia is participating actively in the development of the law. So the law is, it is not a law yet. So it is under the consideration in the State Duma. It has to pass 3 steps, I would say, in order to be approved. And right now it is undergoing the 2nd step. And we, as an umbrella organization, a representative body, we would like to make the youth heard, and we represent their opinions, the youth opinion, I would say, concerning the initiative. We would like it to be, you know, adopted from the bottom, not from the top. You know what I mean? Do you get it? We would like to include as many opinions as possible and to include youth in the process of policymaking. And hopefully next year, the law will be adopted.
But could you please also share what is the added value of the law? And also the question to our speakers, Pega and Lina, if there is a law on youth policy in Belgium, and if there is a law on youth policy in Great Britain.
So I should start, I assume. Well, the law is very important because it sets the judicial status of the youth. It sets its rights and obligations, and what, like, talks about the opportunities that they have, they're entitled to. And I think it is very important when it comes to state policy to feel protected, to know what you can do, what opportunities you have, and how you can achieve it, how you can get it. So I think that's the main idea of basically any law, and the youth law is not an exception to this rule.
Okay, thank you very much. So Pega, you could also comment. Do you have the law on youth?
Yes, I was actually just searching the actual act of parliament. And at the moment, there is quite, because as you know, we are a bicameral system. So it's House of Commons and House of Lords. and it needs to be passed by both in order for it to be an act. So I was just checking the progress on that. And first of all, we have the Charities Act, where basically it provides the capacity for young people and youth organizations to hold assembly, to have freedom of expression, and also to organize themselves. So that's one thing, that it's basically the backbone of young people's participation. There is also I've got it here, Children and Young Persons Act 2008, which is at the stage of, let's say, restudy from the Children and Young Persons Act 1933. So yeah, it goes back a very, very long time. And every few decades we revisit it. So the Children and Young People's Act goes back to even 1930s. And that basically modernizes every few years. So there is, let's say, a codified system for young people's empowerment. And I hope it will be useful for you to even revisit it, to see what sort of things they include and what sort of things they don't include. And at the moment, we are also at the stage of, let's say, an act of parliament, which is Representation of People Act. But at the moment, it's been blocked by House of Lords. So, as usual, to have a look at. But it's basically for young people's enfranchisement and education. So it's quite a useful tool for young people to actually decide what sort of education they want themselves. So it's a lot of systems, but also myself, who was part of the UK Parliament, one thing that we wanted to make sure is to create a backbone act of parliament and decisions for young people, but allow enough flexibility for them to empower themselves. And I think this is a very important thing to balance, because if there are too many rules and regulations, young people might be stuck to rigid policies and ways of participation, but enough for them to mobilize themselves and to be empowered. So this is a very necessary balance, which so far the Parliament has done very well at. But that's one stage of process for us. The second stage is regular funding for young people, which is another matter. What I'm sure will be another time to discuss that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, thank you very much. It's so very interesting also information. Thank you, Pega. And Lina, what about Belgium?
Yes, what I'd like to say about that, there's definitely a lot of youth-related laws in Belgium, but as a Flemish Youth Council, and that's also important to mention and to emphasize, is that we're the official body of the Flemish Parliament when it comes to any law that will concern young people, youth workers, and their organizations. So we really are important in that regard to always make sure the voice of young people is being heard. So if, for example, the Flemish Parliament wants to pass a law, let's say about Corona, we make sure that the voice of young people about that aspect is communicated to the Flemish Parliament. How do we do that? Mostly it's with recommendations. So we have the adviesraads. So that's what I was talking about. There have been new elections, and we have new youth advisors. There's 8 of them, and they gather every month with, of course, other volunteers as well. And we discuss about current teams issues. As said, these teams have also been decided upon, elected, mental health, equality, and climate for the future. But it has been about equality in education. Of course, the Corona situation, there was a lot of attention from the Flemish Youth Council on that topic. And we also do that, so not only by recommendation, but also campaigns, so active campaigns, be it in the media, be it with other youth organizations. So as a Flemish Youth Council, we play a very important role in the legislation at least to make sure that the point of view of young people, the voice of young people is included in what will become law.
Okay, thank you very much, Lina. It's really also very interesting experience. And coming back to National Youth Council of Russia, so we wish good luck to us with the law, and we will come back soon with the next events for the year 2021. And now I would like to ask Matthias, who is a young doctor, about your experience during this year, about volunteering, or about maybe some other movements or projects that you were able to experience by yourself or to participate.
Well, first of all, can you hear me? I can tell you about participation in the New Generation program last year, which was great. And I had the chance to meet some Russians volunteer in the medical field. So I'm still in contact with them, and it's I'm really happy about that. For this year, well, I mean, I have the internships in the hospital, so that's my kind of volunteering. It's mainly it's an obligation, but I do it, of course. I like to do it, but that's my kind of volunteering. Yes, that was the main program of the year.
But what was it hard? What was your experience?
Oh, well, well, so you have two things. First of all, you have the your curriculum, so you have some internships like in pediatrics and internal medicine. So that's not about that has nothing to do with coronavirus. But when you are working maybe during the night in the emergency, you are facing the coronavirus there, the patients. So of course it's more complicated. You have to be more accurate, and there is also the possibility to volunteer in some coronavirus units during the day, because they were organized in the hospital. So all the patients which were who were diagnosed with the coronavirus were in these units, and the students were able to volunteer there. So that was not mandatory, but it was a great opportunity. I also took part in it. Yes.
But how do you think? Would it be helpful to have also some volunteers who could work with, who could help, for instance, to you while you were at these centers, or it was fine?
So mainly the job of the medical students is to help the doctors, because, you know, in the coronavirus unit, every patient is in one room, and when you go into the room, you have to dress up with everything, you know, all the equipment. So it takes maybe 5 minutes, and you need somebody to help you with all the equipment. That was mainly the job of the medical student, or maybe to bring the blood gases to the analyzer and everything. That's well, Elisaveta told us about it, and it's quite the same as in Russia. The medical students do the same here. Unless you are really motivated, you are not directly with the patients, so they try not to expose you. Of course, you can expose yourself, and if you're really motivated, but you have all the equipment necessary.
Okay, thank you very much, Matthias, also for your experience being close to the people, and thank you for your help, of course, and for your medical support for the people with whom you worked, whom you treated during this year. And so I would like to ask also another question for the year 2021. Actually, it was a kind of game of words in Russian language. Maybe it is not correctly translated in English, or it is not easy to feel this game of words, because we were talking about acting together, and then you should put the comma where you want. So acting together, not possible alone, or acting together, not possible alone. This is what we want to ask for the next year, 2021. Of course, we don't know what is going to be, how it's going to be developed, but still, if you have already some plans that you can announce where to participate, so in the field of, for instance, Council of Europe, youth department or youth activities, what are the plans of advisory council on youth for the next year? So how do you see it? So first to Pega.
Okay, I really hoped you wouldn't stop from me, but I think I'm the first on your screen, so fair enough. With respect to the plans of Advisory Council on Youth, we have postponed quite a lot of our activities from 2020. So it is our hope that from March we can actually start business as usual. But that's again pending on the rate of the vaccines and also how quickly we go back to the normal. So that's one thing we are doing. We would be resuming the activities that we have cancelled. That's one of the things we're doing. The second thing is the progress we are making on climate change. So far we are doing it in a co-managed structure. So there is me and another young person, and then actually the Belgian delegation there. So we are hoping someone else from the government representatives will join us. Luciana, you can happily nudge someone from the Russian Federation to join the task force. But that's something we are doing in detail. So hopefully we will even think of a recommendation paper on young people's active participation in climate change, diplomacy or whatever. So we are trying to make sense of that. So it's quite fruitful. We are starting our campaign to actually understand what is revitalizing democracy and what needs to be done. And lastly, we are doing a lot of work on artificial intelligence. So that's something that is worth jumping on, because the Youth Department of Council of Europe especially is working extremely hard to ensure that young people have a particular say when it comes to the advancement of artificial intelligence and how it impacts their youth participation in democratic decision making. I'll say that for now, but I'm sure as soon as Lena starts talking, I'll have things coming up in my head as well. So do come back to me if I do raise something. And Valeria, I have sent you a toolkit on the group chat that is for youth engagement. That is basically summarizes what have the previous decisions been on youth Act of Parliament and how they proceeded to go further. So I'll share it there as well, but there is no further discussion on it. It's just for your information.
Okay, thank you very much, Peg. It's very interesting. And Valeria, actually, I have a question to you. Do you have in your agenda climate, artificial intelligence for the next year? What are the plans?
Oh, artificial intelligence. No, not yet, but probably we will maybe launch some mutual projects with Pega, probably because it's very interesting and a cute topic. But as for the plans of the National Youth Council of Russia for the year 2021, first of all, we think that joint efforts let us achieve high results and that together we're stronger. And we're going to translate this idea at the ECOSOC Youth Forum, which will be held in the year 2021 in April, if I'm not mistaken. And this forum will serve as a platform for uniting our efforts and producing common solutions. We also intend to hold some side events, maybe on the topic of SDGs, but we're still waiting for more details from the UN, whether it is possible or not. We will also continue our active work with the UN bodies to support the youth, which is possible due to our consultative status with the ECOSOC and membership in the UNMGCY. And the year 2021 will be a hard period of recovery and adjustment, which require from us both acting together and supporting each other. At the National Youth Council of Russia, we believe that the youth will be the driving force of that recovery. And we, as a youth organization, youth representative organization, need to assist them, create opportunities, and act as facilitators and advisors. And probably we need to come up with new programs and initiatives relevant to COVID-19 realities and provide adequate assistance for the youth. So probably we need to do some more profound research and find out what exactly the youth wants and needs in the upcoming years so that we could properly help. In addition to that, in the year 2021, we have devoted ourselves a bit to scientific research and wrote a brochure about youth policy at national and international levels, covering many states and international organizations. And we really hope to issue it in the year 2021. It is an indeed large-scale important initiative, and we cannot wait to share this baby with everyone. And yeah, I think that's it for our plans so far.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. And Lena, what are your plans?
Yes, so as UN youth delegates, we're also participating in the ECOSOC Youth Forum in April. And yes, it will be an opportunity to have some thematic and regional sessions around the SDGs and to really shape the agenda around the SDGs. So that's something that we're definitely looking forward to. Normally, if the sanitary situation allows it, we'll also be participating in the GA, in the third committee in New York. That's in October normally. And if it's possible, also organize a side event with other UN youth delegates. My colleague, because I'm the UN youth delegate for youth policy, but there's also UN youth delegate for sustainable development. She will be participating in the high-level political forum, which will take place in July normally. And in Belgium, something that had been planned for November, October even, but we couldn't do it because of the difficult COVID-19 situation. But it's in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Belgian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We will be organizing workshops in schools, a bit everywhere in Belgium, about the UN. So the real basics: what is the UN, what is its mission, what are the SDGs, to really bring the basic knowledge about the UN to high school students. And that was also in related to the anniversary, the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. And lastly, of course, the Flemish Youth Council will get started with the new themes, as I've already mentioned: mental health, reducing inequalities, and climate change. And our way of working is to be in working groups. And in these working groups, there's volunteers who will work out and shape the agenda around these important themes, be it with campaigns, be it with surveys. That's still to be decided upon. But I'm sure 2021 will be a very interesting year, but let's hope that at some point we'll be able to also meet physically, because I think the human bond is still very different than behind the screen.
Yeah, that's true, Lida. Yeah, thank you very much. And I would like also to come back to Elizabeth. Can you hear us? With the plans?
Yes, sure, I'm here.
Okay, thank you very much. So what are the plans for movement for the next year.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. So regarding the plans, well, the pandemic showed us what exactly we need to implement in 2021. And of course, we feel like it will be a very fruitful year, a very hardworking year, because now we have several plans that I will be talking about. So first of all, here in Russia, we have such platform for the volunteers named Dabro.ru. And our biggest plan is to the update the functionality of this platform. So this platform will be not only for volunteers, but also for those who need help. So on this platform, you will be able to become a volunteer, to donate goods, and also to be a volunteer on the pro bono. But also at the same time, you will be able to register there and inform that you need a volunteer help. The second one is that we understood that we need to launch a project which will help to effectively react on the emergencies, because the pandemic showed us that we definitely need it in the volunteer sector. We need some structure which will unite the volunteers and which will effectively work during the emergency situations. So also at the same time, what we understood is that elderly people, they need help systematically, not only during the pandemic, but systematically. So because of this, we are working on the idea to help the lowly elderly people, especially the veterans of the Great World War, Second Great World War. And we're planning to do it by having one volunteer working with one elderly person systematically, so that they will know each other, they will connect with each other most of the time, they will help each other, and that will be easier for the elderly person and at the same time for the volunteer too. Of course, during the pandemic, we understood how important it is to provide psychological help. We saw the growing demand of the people for the psychological support. So because of this, we will be having this area of activity in a systematic way in 2020 first, of course, too. And the planned areas are providing the clinical psychological support, the educational psychological support, general psychological support, and of course, some mentors for those who are in need and for the volunteers at the same time, because of course, as I spoke earlier, volunteers are also facing stress, self-burnouts, and they also need help. So at the same time, now we are launching the international award named We Are Together. This international award will be held once in a year during the International Forum of Volunteers. In Russia, we organize annually International Forum of Volunteers from the 2nd until 5th December. And under this forum, there will be an international award named We Are Together. This award will be given for the contribution for solving the global and social problems for the development of the society. And of course, during the pandemic, we also organized such project named the grocery card of kindness. I can say it like this. In Russian, it's called Teleshka Dobra. The idea of this project is to have in each grocery store a grocery cart, which is for those who are in need, so that people who have the ability to help others will just put the groceries in that cart, and after that the volunteers will provide those groceries to those who are in need. So we are planning to make this project also systematically. And to organize all this, we are planning to form the regional clubs named We Are Together, so that everything what we achieved during the pandemic or is in organizing those regional clubs is not gonna fall apart when the pandemic will be gone. No, it will be working after that too. And those clubs, they will be operating during they will be operating systematically, and they will be helping people systematically in different areas. So mostly the plan is that those regional clubs will be uniting the NGOs in the regions, the public organizations, and at the same time, they will be still assisting in the areas we are together, the areas which I mentioned earlier. Also, at the same time, they will be organizing some meetings for the volunteers, and of course, joint charity campaigns as it plans like twice in a year. So those are our bigger plans. Those are like our big plans under the campaign We Are Together. We are a very huge movement, so we have other plans on our other activities, what we implement, what we are implementing now, and what we were implementing before the pandemic. So we're just preparing for 2021 and hoping that it will be a great year.
Yeah. Okay, it's very interesting. Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for your presentation and for big plans, I would say. And just a question, but for instance, some international participants, can they also apply and become volunteers?
You mean volunteers in our movement?
Yes, but for instance,
yes.
For people from Belgium, they would like to go and to volunteer in some project. Is it possible?
We have several international projects. First of it is creating a country center for medical volunteering and also having the partnerships. So having the partnership with the organization, for example, in Belgium, will allow the international participants to participate in our events, but organize them in Belgium. So that means that we will be having the partnership agreement, or we will be creating the country center, and we will be organizing the events with them at the same time. And those international participants will be organizing our activities in their countries. We have such country centers in 5 countries, which are Republic Kazakhstan, Republic of Armenia, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Republic of Chad. And they are actively organizing our events, actively organizing our areas of activities. And that's how they actually implement our activities in their country. At the same time, we have integration of international students into medical volunteering. So this gives the opportunity to those international students who are in Russia, but they came from the other country. It gives them the opportunity to also volunteer in our movement and become the volunteers. Unfortunately, if you're talking about the exchange programs, we're working on it. We're planning to launch those programs, and we're hoping that actually in 2021 it will be possible, so that international students from another country will be able to come to Russia and volunteer.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you very much. I'm also speaking about this because since next year, there should be a new Erasmus Plus program, and the new period for the program European Solidarity Corps that is also organizing different volunteers programs and different projects within European Voluntary Service and within with the European Solidarity Corps. So it could be also, I think, interesting maybe to find some ways of cooperation or experience, because yeah, I think this experience of the program We Are Together is very, very interesting. Actually, we are already.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we are already finishing, but I see that Matthias has a question.
Yes, Elisaveta, when you are talking about exchange, you are talking about exchange in for volunteering between countries, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for volunteering. That's the plan.
Okay, because I think it would be also a really good idea to organize exchange for the, you know, for the studies, for the formation of the students in the medical sphere, like a clinical internship exchange. Because unfortunately there is no Erasmus exchange between Russia and Belgium in medicine. But I think it would be really a good idea to try to organize something in this to this way.
Matthias, thank you for the comment. I feel like this is a little bit not our area, and I know for sure that we have some different exchange programs, because I know the volunteers and people who joined such programs and went to the other countries. But if you want, I can take a look. Maybe I will have more information into this, and we will see what we can do.
Yes, thank you very much. So dear friends, now it's time to sum up, to conclude. Actually, I would like to thank all of you. I think our conversation was very interesting, and I was amazed to hear such stories and got new information for myself personally, and I hope also our audience. What we could also underline that due to some challenges that we had during this year, we have some very good results, because our audience is very diverse right now, from different countries all over the world, and really this opportunity of online events give also good results and good opportunity for other young people to always participate, and whenever they want. Sometimes, for instance, you can watch online events after, not only being online, so you can more opportunities for education if you want to study something. So there are also some good results. For us, we are planning next year also to continue Brussels Dialogue Forum, European Meridian 21 discussion. We hope that in Belgium we will have a big celebration of Russian participation in Omegang Festival that was postponed. They're planning such events as putting a new Russian costume on a mannequin piece. So yes, there are many different plans. And we will also celebrate 60 years of the first flight of man, Yuri Gagarin, in space. So you're very, very welcome at our platforms, and of course in participation in new generation program. I would like to give the floor to Vera Bunina. Please, Vera, if you can hear us. Or maybe not. So, dear friends, one more time, thank you very much. I wish all of us good celebration of the upcoming holidays. Please take care and make the common good wish that the next year would be good for all of us and healthy. So thank you very much again, and see you soon, and keep in touch with you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yes, it was a great
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.